are things, and welcome to another edition of Oh Man, That's Awful, coming to you from the luxurious studios of Radio Titans in Los Angeles. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Carl Kozlowski, and with me is...
I'm Kevin Corcoran.
And our sound wizard,
Dr. David Robinson.
And as always, we're here bringing you some funny, awful stories from some of the funniest people around in all walks of life, but usually entertainment. And today we've got a very funny comedian who has been around on the comedy scene for quite a long time. Been excited to have him this week because he's done all sorts of great things, but these days he is the organizer of Comedy Rocks every other Thursday at the Comedy Store. We'll explain what that is in a moment for those who don't know. He also has a new movie called Sister he's in that's going to be on iTunes and Showtime, and he is going to be in the new season of Corporate on Comedy Central. Ladies and gentlemen, Skyler Stone.
Yeah.
Hi,
How are
Skyler.
you?
Fucking Carl. We can say whatever we want, right?
Of course. It's the internet, man.
He got there.
Yeah,
Okay.
fuck the man. Anyways.
Oh, wow.
So, well, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, so Skyler, man, it's like you have a really interesting career where you've done all sorts of things. Like you had a show on Comedy Central called Con for a while where you did all sorts of crazy con jobs on people. And, we're going to touch on all sorts of crazy things from your life. But I guess tell us a little bit about it. Were you doing these kind of crazy con things when you were a kid, or how did you get into that? And give people a couple examples of your favorite ones.
Yeah, sure. It was a natural extension. It's not like I came up with, I wonder if I'd be good at conning people. It was more like I've always been told I'm good at it. So I'm like, well, I should probably do something with that.
You're not that Nigerian prince I've been hearing so much about.
No, but dude, I always think all the time, like, what if you actually got a message from somebody and you thought it was a Nigerian scam, but what if for once it was real and someone really does need to get off this island and he is willing to pay you and he's got all this money?
It's the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah, right. Not going to fall for it, dude. And he's like dying. His fucking warfare in the background.
I actually had a roommate in Pasadena, like around 2005 or 6, where I used to live, and he was like from New York, and God, that guy was the most gullible person on earth, and he fell twice for those guys. I was like, both times, I'm like, don't do it. And he's like,
they wouldn't be doing it if someone wasn't falling for it.
Yeah.
It's probably mostly old people, and honestly, it's probably some mentally ill people.
Sure, that would be my roommate, I think. No kidding. Yeah. I'll make sure.
He was 64 and he had Alzheimer's, so
voted for Trump.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So, honestly, the first, I get asked this question a lot, like, what was your first con? And I don't know what the first one was. I'm sure I was lying to my little sister, right out of her, right when she became old enough to understand, a lie, or not understand a lie, I guess. But the first one that I definitely recall is, so in the 80s, do you remember how a lot of families, your parents had a phone line, but then there was a kid's phone line?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
there was a second phone line, right? And so you got your own answering machine, too. And that was so fun because you and your sisters got to get together and go, hey, everybody, you reached the Stones. Leave a message. Yeah. You may leave all these little noises or whatever, and you're so pumped and you fight over what the outgoing voice was going to be. And so we had our own phone line. And the reason that came in handy in a con was I used to get in trouble a lot. And so I got in a lot of trouble at school one day. I don't remember what I did, but I remember the first time I decided, you know what, I'm not going to let my parents find out about this. And the reason I needed to think of a way out of it was when you got in trouble at Hannah Woods, where I went to elementary school, you got sent down to the black chairs, and there were these black leather chairs outside Miss Osterloh's office. Yeah. And so you sat in these big leather chairs, and every kid walked by, and it was a shaming thing. And the more I look back, it's like, it's really messed up. Like, you go, oh, Skyler's in trouble. Everybody would go tis, 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 because they'd walk by.
Wow.
Yeah. And then
Did you go to a Catholic school?
No.
Or was this a Puritan colony?
Yeah, right? It feels like that, right? Yeah. And so,
when was the waterboarding?
Well, there's none of that, but, you did sacrifice your own family pet, if you got in trouble, and you had to skin the dog. And
they're tough but fair.
Yeah, exactly. It's that St. Louis upbringing, you know what I mean? We really know what we're doing, Ferguson.
You wonder, it's not to bash St. Louis, although it is a favorite pastime. When
this guy.
I'm a Chicago guy who lived in Missouri for 8 years, so
God, you guys win one World Series and you're just fucking cocky as shit
Never
over here.
I've been making fun of St. Louis.
Wait, what about murderous Chicago? The most murderous city you can live in right now.
Yeah. Name me one person who's ever been murdered in Chicago.
Yeah. Just pull up the internet. Compare St. Louis to Chicago's crime stats last year.
I'm just saying, St. Louis, it isn't even worth murdering people there. You're pushing me, Skyler.
Yeah.
But no, I just, being from such a big foodie city, to look at St. Louis and their peak of culinary achievement is the toasted ravioli,
which are fantastic. Peak? What do you do, dude? We have our own style of barbecue. You guys don't. We have.
That's a load of crap,
dude.
We totally.
You have deep dish. We have thin crust. We have something called Emo's Pizza.
Yeah, it's cheddar on crackers.
It's not cheddar.
It's called Emo's
Provel.
Pizza.
It's Emo's Pizza.
Thin crust.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You can cut yourself with it.
It's one of those places because there was one in Columbia, Missouri, where I went to school, and they were open till like 3 or 4 in the morning. They delivered, which was great because it was kind of one of those places when you really, really want a pizza at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You'll settle for Emo's.
It's good. Well, I don't settle. I love Emo's.
So back to your sister and the phone and the whatever. So what was going on with that, with the kid's phone?
Carl's like, don't talk about food. You're making me hungry right now.
I know. Yeah, I'm starving, dude.
Is that a long day?
I'm a big guy.
My bad. Sorry.
No, it's cool. So, I mean, but where were you going
what I was
that?
saying was, I don't even know how the fuck did we get on Emo's? How did that happen?
Dave is a big...
St. Louis
you were
upbringing.
mentioning St. Louis.
So,
Dave's full of hate.
So, Dave's just fucking, he's ornery. So,
Jews.
I'm outside. I'm outside sitting in the black leather chairs. Miss Osterloh calls me in because after the shaming process, you're brought in and you are to call your parents in front of her and tell them what you did or leave a voicemail saying what you did on the answering machine.
Good Lord.
Yeah, dude, it was something else.
Hey, what kind of school was this? Public or
Public
something
school,
else?
yeah,
What?
public school.
Damn.
Kind of explains a lot,
Wow.
How did I end up an addict and bipolar? I don't fucking know. So next thing you know, she goes, call your parents. So I pick up the phone. She dials I dial my phone number. Oh, sorry. She picked up the phone, and there were 2 phone numbers listed because my mom, I just think blindly when she was filling it out, just knows our phone numbers and thought, I'll put both on there because she's thinking to herself, the phone numbers in case of emergency. Well, what if I'm upstairs and I'm by the children's phone and I don't hear the down? I'm going to put both phone numbers down here in case of emergency. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at it. I just get this idea in a moment where I go, wait a minute. If I leave a voicemail on my answering machine, I can go home and delete it, and my parents never found out that I did this. So I do that. So I called the phone number, and luckily I had won. The idea of like what we should do on the outgoing voicemail, and basically I just like kind of did this like this big guy voice for like a young kid, like hello, you've reached the Stones, blah blah blah. And I did this like stupid voice, and at the end my sisters came in and made like little goo goo gaga noises and something funny, but she still thought it was a real answering machine because we're just a family, right? So I leave a voicemail just saying, hey mom, dad, I just want to let you know what I did, blah blah blah. I'm really sorry, and Miss Osterloh said that I'm going to be in a lot of trouble, and I have to skip lunch the next 2 days, blah, 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 blah. I go home, I get the voice, I run in the room, and we used to fight over who gets to play the voicemail because, if there's a voicemail, it's like, whoa, who the fuck called? In the 80s, a voicemail was a big deal, dude. Like, whoa, we got a fucking phone call.
Yeah,
Somebody
dude.
wants to talk to us. You know what I mean?
We forgot to bring that thing back to Blockbuster. Or something.
Yeah, exactly, right? Your copy of Curly Sue is 2 weeks overdue.
Curly Sue.
So I ran in. I got a funny story about Curly Sue, too. But I run inside. I slam the door. I play. I turn down the volume. I hear it. I delete it. And my sisters come in. They're like, there was a voicemail in here. I'm like, there's no voicemail. They're like, we saw you ran in here. I'm like, no, I was just fucking playing with it. There's nothing on here. And so that was my first con. And I was like, wow, I now know how to get out of trouble. You know
Probably
what I mean?
not the first time you ever gaslit your sister, though.
Oh, no.
You're crazy.
Well, there's a reason we don't talk anymore.
even-
I think I did it plenty of times.
We don't even have a phone. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, what I did, I was always in trouble in 2nd and 3rd grade horribly. And I went to a Catholic school, and Mrs. Weinzimmer, I'll never forget the name, my 2nd grade teacher, she would send me home with a note to my folks and about what I did. But she would never expect them to give it back, call her, or sign it. So she's an idiot, right? So I would just so she would staple it, though, and I would pry it open. I don't know what I would have done if I felt like I really needed to show them. Probably would have tried to restaple perfectly, but I would open it up, see what it said, and then it was always awful. And so I was like, I would
Fuck
just
this.
go home and I went to we had an attic in our house. We were in an old house, and I thought, oh, I'll flush it down the toilet, and from the furthest, most obscure toilet in the house, it'll be extra protected. And I actually thought that there was like people who worked in the sewers that would, sort through, like looking for kids' notes. And so
That might be
I
true.
thought if I went.
We don't know.
So I thought if it went through for 2 weeks without a note being brought up, that I was safe. So I lived in fear for 2 weeks instead of just giving the damn note, getting my paddling, and getting it over with, right? And so I always got away with it. And then finally, this one time, my mom shows up, and Mrs. Weinzimmer tells her, Carl's so much better behaved lately. And my mom goes, what do you mean lately? And next thing, whisper, what? Paddle. I got it anyway. It was terrible.
Real quick, I just kind of want to backtrack a second. So you guys had a toilet in the attic?
Yeah.
Was this like an Anne Frank house or something?
It was. Yeah, we were hiding from the Nazis up there. Yeah, definitely.
All that adds up.
Are you Jewish?
I kept a diary.
Super Catholic.
Catholic, but Catholics like.
You said you went to Catholic.
Little known
Yeah,
fun
I'm the
fact:
token
Catholics
in the
got
room.
Holocausted
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
Pardon?
Little known fun fact: some Catholics got
True.
gassed also.
Yeah.
That's a fun
But
fact.
I know fun fact.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I don't think that's going to be on the back of a Laffy Taffy wrapper anytime soon.
I don't get it.
It's not really a fun.
It's not a Bazooka Joe kind of thing.
Yeah.
So how did you get known for doing cons to the point where Comedy Central said, "Let's give this guy a show"?
Well, I mean, that was in the era of you made
Punked
it.
and all that, right?
Say what?
That was the era of Punked, or were you
Yeah, it was. But it was in the era of there was no YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
So the way you did it back then, not to sound like I used to walk to school,
Yeah.
in the snow. You made DVDs. Can you believe that? And you just gave it to anybody that wanted to see it, whether you were a governor or a homeless person. I was handing you my DVD, and I would hand it out, and because I shot my own cons first. The first one we ever shot, you'll love this one. I don't know if you saw this one or not, but we had my buddy dress up like Jared from Subway, Jared Fogle. This is way before the controversy, so it's a little different.
Different con now.
Yeah, it's a different time. It was a
You
different
sent him
time.
into a preschool.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you get the children? Oh,
Yeah. So what I did was my buddy dressed up like Jared Fogle, and we showed up at a sub. We called ahead of time and said, on the phone, I was like, hey, this is Mike St. Aubin. I work at William Morris. This is before they merged with Endeavor and something. I work at William Morris, and I represent Jared. Your Subway has been chosen as one of the subways for Jared to show up at. This guy lost his fucking mind. He was so excited that I almost felt bad doing it, but not bad enough because I did it. So he was an Indian man, and it was an Indian. I mean, a lot of the subways in LA are owned by Indian families. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
And so, especially in the Valley.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh my God, thank you so much for choosing our subway. And so into the limo. But we conned the limo, too, because we told them that it was for charity. And we fooled them all this stuff. And so we ended up getting in this limo for free. And so now we're in a limo, and we're drinking in the back. This is before I got sober. This is 2003, maybe. And we're drinking like crazy. We're getting nice and lit on the way. I'm dressed in a suit. And by the way, at the time, I'm like, this is 2002, so I think I'm 23. Like, I look really young, and I'm super skinny. Like, I don't really look. I look like maybe an agent's assistant, but like, I don't really look like an agent at this point. And my hair's all fucking poofed out and shit. And so, we showed up, and he took pictures with people. He signed autographs. He made sandwiches for people. We took a bunch of sandwiches for free to go. And this guy looks nothing like Jared Fogle. Like, nothing.
it.
He looks like Jeremy Piven, really.
Oh, my God.
His name's Zach Johnson. He's a really, really funny cat.
Why would the guy believe that?
I don't know that he believed it by the end of it, but like when we got there, he believed it because like
He wanted to.
Thank you. People believe what they want to
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we did sell it. He was talking the talk, and I was gaslighting them. I would walk in, I would just go, we got him on a big tour. Next, he's going to Boise, but we chose this one because we know that you're owned by the same guy that owns. And I knew names. I did my research. Like I knew that like there was a guy named whatever David that owned 6 subways in the area, and like one of them was over in Santa Clarita. Like so, I'm dropping names. I'm confusing. I'm making him go, well, it must be real because he knows who David is, and he knows Santa Clarita, and he knows,
I don't remember Jared being a black woman, but
yeah, exactly.
I guess he must have been.
Well, they say the camera adds 10 pounds. Also,
Sure, yeah, some
a
other
little
things.
bit of
and to be
hue
completely
and-
honest, this guy
Tint.
owns a Subway franchise. He needed a win.
Yes.
You know? This guy needed a feather in his cap.
Yeah, and he got that, you know.
Good for you.
You could see at parts that the wife is not fully on board, and he is mostly on board, and his kids are wildly confused. You know what I mean? Wildly confused.
Dad, don't give him